Have you ever had one of those weird aches or pains and you just had a feeling it wasn't really coming from where you felt it? Well, you might be onto something. Sometimes our body's internal wiring gets, well, a little crossed, and that leads to a totally fascinating and surprisingly common medical mystery.
Right, let's just jump straight to the classic life or death example that I think we've all heard about. We see it in the movies all the time, right? Someone grabs their left arm in agony, but the real crisis, the actual emergency, is happening in their chest. So how on earth is that possible? What is going on inside our bodies to create such a confusing and, frankly, dangerous signal? This isn't just some random symptom, it's the perfect way to understand a much bigger biological puzzle.
And, this whole bizarre phenomenon actually has a name. It's called referred pain. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The pain is literally referred from where it starts to a completely different, seemingly unrelated part of the body. Your brain, which is supposed to be the master controller of this whole operation, is essentially getting tricked by its own messaging system.
So what's causing this huge biological mix-up? Well, the main culprit, as you see here, is something called shared nerve pathways. I want you to think of your nervous system kind of like a gigantic, incredibly complex switchboard with millions of tiny wires. Now, to be efficient, your body sometimes bundles wires from totally different places into the same main cable that heads up to the brain. And that is where the confusion starts. Okay, so let's actually walk through this signal's very confusing journey. First, an internal organ. Let's say your heart is in trouble and it sends out a pain signal. That signal zips along a nerve pathway on its way to the brain. But, and this is the key part, that very same nerve pathway is also picking up signals from, say, the skin and muscles in your arm. So when this jumbled signal gets to the brain has to make a quick decision. And since it hears from your skin and muscles all the time, it often just defaults to what it knows best and mistakenly thinks the distress call is coming from your arm, not your heart. It's almost like two phone calls getting crossed on an old-school party line. The brain hears the message loud and clear, but it thinks it's coming from the wrong caller.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This biological glitch isn't just some quirky fact for trivia night. In the world of medicine, it's basically a doctor's secret weapon. See, understanding these predictable patterns of cross signals lets a doctor look at a symptom like shoulder pain and immediately think, wait a minute, the problem could be something much deeper. It turns a confusing signal into a potentially life-saving clue.
And this table here illustrates just how critical these clues really are. I mean, take a look. Pain in your left shoulder? It could be something called the Kerr sign, which points to a ruptured spleen. You would never guess that on your own. We've already talked about jaw or left arm pain pointing to a heart attack or myocardial ischemia. And what about that nagging pain in your back or your side? Well, it could actually be a sign of a life-threatening aortic aneurysm, or even the intense pain of a kidney stone. So these aren't just random aches, you see. They are vital messages from deep inside your body, even if the return address is a little bit scrambled. So, let's just lock in the main takeaway here. If you remember one thing, it's this. At its core, referred pain is just pain that's felt at a place that's distant from the real source, and it's all because of those shared nerve pathways. It's a simple biological mix-up, but one with really profound consequences. When you think about it, this all leads to a really fascinating conclusion about how we perceive our own bodies. The pain you feel, it isn't always a direct, one-to-one report of an injury. It's actually your brain's best guess. It's an interpretation based on a whole lifetime of sensory information and the unique quirks of your own internal wiring. It's a pretty powerful reminder that what we feel isn't always reality.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. If your brain can misplace the location of a pain signal as critical as a heart attack, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other cross signals, what other subtle feelings or misinterpreted messages might your body be sending you right this very second?